Shalom, shalom. I want to give all praises to Yahweh Bahashim Yahweh Shai Bahashim Rakakadash. Double honors to the apostles and elders of Great Millstone who rule well. Peace and salutations to the Akim out there. And peace and salutations to the Akim out there. Spreading this truth like wildfire in all truthfulness and in all sincerity. Alright, you got this Oregon bill that would pay homeless people $1,000 a month. Legislation would pay homeless people with no strings attached. The state of Oregon is weighing a bill to give homeless and low-income people $1,000 a month in universal basic income. The Oregon legislature is considering a bill to establish a People's Housing Assistance Fund demonstration program through the state's Department of Human Services. Oregon's bill is the latest in blue states, looking to give handouts to people in universal basic income programs. According to Bill Track 50, the legislation would provide 12 monthly payments of $1,000 to individuals who are experiencing homelessness, are at risk of homelessness, are severely rent burdened, or earn at or below 30% of the area median income. The bill would require a study on who has received the money broken down, a few demographics including race, veteran status, and risk of domestic violence. Additionally, the bill sunsets in January 2026. The $1,000 payments can be used at recipient's discretion, but supporters say it will be used toward rent and other living expenses. However, that discretion could backfire, as some recipients could use the money for other costs like alcohol or drugs. Oregon is not the first. Keep that in mind. Keep that in mind. What I just read right there. Oregon is not the first place to consider universal basic income payments. A California city is planning to give universal basic income to transgender and non-binary residents. Transgender residents in Salakia, Palm Spring, California, are eligible to receive UBI of up to $900 per month solely for identifying as transgender or non-binary, no strings attached. The new program will have $200,000 actually, set aside for allocation after a unanimous vote by the Palm Springs City Council last week. Kept saying Palm Springs. I'm used to reading the scriptures. It's really Palm Springs. But you get what I'm saying. So now they pushing this UBI shit. And this has been something that they've been proposing for a while. You had the presidential candidate Andrew Yang proposed this back in 2020, and then he ran for he lost, and then he ran for NYC mayor, and then he lost. We have to remember this about this devil, man. This devil, if he doeth good, he doeth it unwillingly. Ecclesiastes 14:7. And if he doeth good, he doeth it unwillingly, and at the last he will declare his wickedness. So at the last he's gonna declare his wickedness. At the last he's gonna make you take that RFID chip to keep on getting it. Because this devil, he doesn't give a fuck like we do about, like, he doesn't give a fuck like our people do. Well, our people are becoming more and more like this devil, 2/3, but these devils don't give a fuck about people, alright? Especially tribes. Let me get these precepts right here showing you. I'm just gonna get to the point. There's this parable. Wait, hold up. I'm gonna bring this one out first, showing that it's a parable, but it shows how these devils think. Luke 18:1, and he spake a parable unto them to this end, that men always ought to pray and not to faint. Because if you're going to this unjust judge, this devil, for justice, begging them and all that, how much more should you be going to the Most High Yahweh through His Son Yahweh Shai, in the name of His Son Yahweh Shai? You know, men always ought to pray not to faint. But that was the whole point of that parable. But there's a point in here that I'm gonna bring out, man. Verse 2, saying, there was in the city a judge which feared not power Yahweh, neither regarded man. Verse 3, and there was a widow in that city, and she came unto him, saying, avenge me of my adversary. Verse 4, and he would not for a while, but afterward he said within himself, though I fear not power Yahweh, nor regard man. Verse 5, yet because this widow troubled me, I will avenge her, yet lest by her continual coming she weary me. So he fears not power Yahweh, nor regards man. But that's one reason why this devil will throw some crumbs, like a cop that shot an unarmed Jake, or put an unarmed Jake to death. Now you'll occasionally get a conviction of that cop. Just so the people will shut up. But there's another reason why this devil will do good unwillingly. You know, and it's to further an agenda. That's why the scriptures tell us, be not ignorant of Satan's devices. 2 Corinthians chapter 2, verse 11. Lest Satan should get an advantage of us, for we are not ignorant of his devices. And then let me give Ecclesiastes 5:15. Be not ignorant of anything in the great matter or the small. That's why. Because these devils, the devil's in the detail. You heard that saying, this thing is true. And also, these devils, they will use they will use devices like that. They'll use Basically, they'll act like they're there to help, but they're not. And that's Revelation. That's actually Ecclesiastes chapter 12, verse 12 on down. Oh, verse 10 on down. Never trust thine enemy, for like his iron rust, his soul is his wickedness. Verse 11. Though he humble himself and go crouching, yet take good heed and be aware of him. And thou shalt be unto him as if thou hadst wiped a looking glass, and thou shalt know that his rust hath not been altogether wiped away. Verse 12. Set him not by thee, lest when he hath overthrown thee, he stand up in thy place. Neither let him sit at thy right hand, lest he seek to take thy seat. And thou at the last remember my words, and be pricked therewith. Verse 13. Yeah, who will pity a charmer that is bitten with a serpent, or is any such as come nigh wild beasts? Yeah, and this serpent, you get close to him, he's gonna bite you. He's gonna inject that. He's gonna inject that grain of rice into you. Or any such as come nigh wild beasts. This devil's a wild beast. Verse 14. So one that goeth to a sinner and is defiled with them in the sins, who will pity? Verse 15. For a while he will abide with thee, but if thou begin to fall, he will not tarry. You know, he's going to be on your side for a while, but if thou begin to fall, he will not tarry. Now wait around. He's not going to be on your side. Verse 16. An enemy speaketh sweetly with his lips, but in his heart he imagineth how to throw thee into a pit. He will weep with his eyes, but if he find opportunity, he will not be satisfied with blood. Verse 17. If adversity come upon thee, thou shalt find him there first. Though he pretend to help thee, yet shall he undermine thee. Verse 18. He will shake his head and clap his hands and whisper much, and change his countenance. So you can't trust this devil. Because this is what he's trying to do right here. This is the game. This is what he's trying to achieve. The end game. This is the end game. Revelation chapter 13, verse 16. And he causeth all, both small and great, rich and poor, free and bond, to receive a mark in their right hand or in their foreheads. Verse 17. And that no man might buy or sell, save he that had the mark, or the name of the beast, or the number of his name. Verse 18. Here is wisdom. Let him that hath understanding count the number of the beast, for it is the number of a man, and his number is 666. Chasha stigma. Which that tells you what it is. And charagma, when you break down charagma, the charags, it's a pale or stake or palisade. The stake is something that's inserted in the land to stake a claim. So in the same way he's staking a claim to you, this devil, using that RFID chip. And then you break it down further, the grapho, he's writing the information on it. He's writing your information on it, on that RFID chip. Grapho, FY, that's where you get the word graphic from. Autograph. Bibliography. Autobiography. You get all those words from grapho. So he's trying to cause all, both small and great, rich and poor, free and bond, to receive that mark in their right hands or in their forehead. And if you take that shit, you through. Yeah, you can't be forgiven for it, showing you that it's not sin. So every manner of sin you can be forgiven for, except for blasphemy of the Rakakadash, which, when you look into it, only these Edomites have committed it by making the Most High, Yahweh, saying that he's a so-called white man with leprosy, and saying that son's so-called white man with leprosy, saying that all the angels are so-called white men with leprosy. When it's inaccurate, like leprosy is a curse. Why would the Lord have a curse? Let me get Revelation 14. And 12, and starting to get hot in here. Slack, hold on. Revelation chapter 14, verse 9. And the third angel followed them, saying with a loud voice, if any man worship the beast and his image, and receive his mark in his forehead or in his hand. Verse 10, the same shall drink of the wine of the wrath of power Yahweh, which is poured out without mixture into the cup of his indignation, and he shall be tormented with fire and brimstone in the presence of the holy angels and in the presence of the Lamb. Verse 11, and the smoke of their torment ascendeth up forever and ever. Aeon and aeon, look in the Greek, meaning ages and ages. And they have no rest during the night, who worship the beast in his image, and whosoever receiveth the mark of his name. And it's gonna feel like forever. Being in that lake of fire, which is gonna be created by the nukes hitting Babylon. Which is the U.S. Alright, so with that, I hope this live was edifying. Oh, let me address that. Hold on. Yes, leprosy is so-called white skin, because it shows that in the Old Testament with Miriam getting turned so-called white, because she spoke against Moses. So that is a form of leprosy. You're a clean leper. If you so-called white people are clean lepers. But let me get use the world but not abuse the world. Meaning for now, since they're not requiring a chip to get it, you can use it. Just don't abuse it. Use the world. This would be for now an example of use the world but don't abuse the world. Yeah, 1 Corinthians 7 verse 31, and they that use the world as not abusing it for the fashion of this world passeth away. Use the world, don't abuse the world. This would be an example of that. Until they require the chip, which is what they're trying to do. They're trying to get you dependent on it. So my advice would be not to depend on it. If you're an Israelite or the hopeful elect living in Oregon or these other areas where they're doing it, where they're rolling it out, or where they're gonna roll it out, that would be my advice. But yeah, hope this live was edited. I hope this is not a live. I hope this video was edifying. I want to give all praises to Yahweh Bahashim, Yahweh Shai, Bahashim, Rakah, Kadash. Double honors to the apostles and elders of Great Millstone who rule well. Peace and salutations to the Akim out there, spreading this truth like wildfire in all truthfulness and in all sincerity. And Shalom to the rest of the hopeful elect out there. A Ababa Ball dead to Babylon. Abadla, yeah, with Babylon, that's the U.S., according to the scriptures. Dead to Abadla, Abadla Adawam Yum, dead to these Edomites. Abadla Gawayum, dead to these other nations. Abadla Ayub Yanawa, dead to the rest of, dead to our enemies, the rest of them being you two-thirds of you so-called black people, Latinos and Native Americans, you Israelite foreigners here in the land, here in the land of our oppression, land of our captivity, land where most of Jake is, here in the States, here in North America, as well as rebels scattered among the Israelite foreigners and among the so-called black people, Latinos, and natives that don't live here in the States. They don't live in North America. They live in somewhere else, like in these Northern Kingdom countries. And you rebels, you will be taken out. Shalom, stay strong. Yashrala forever. Wa and Ababa Ball, which again means death to Babylon. Shalom, stay strong.